Hey guys, what's up? I'm CJ and welcome back to my galaxy. Today we're back with Film Club, and today we're also watching, for that film club, Jennifer's Body. Now, Jennifer's Body, from what I can tell, I've done a little bit of research. It's going to be stronger themes than what I've watched in the past for Film Club. At the moment, we're just watching mostly like 2010s, early 2000s, just YA, dystopia, fantasy sort of films. But I will say, from Googling, I want to preface this video by saying that I am aromantic asexual, which doesn't necessarily have anything to do with this film, but that means I should probably say that I don't like films that are very sexually explicit. I prefer not to watch them simply because to be comfortable in my sexuality, I prefer to forget the sex exists. So I don't watch anything that's like super sexually explicit. I'm gonna try and come at this from like an objective point of view, but if there's anything that gets too like sexual for my preference, I'm probably gonna skip over it. So if I miss anything because of that, just let me know down in the comments, like this is the significance of this scene that you seem to have skipped over. Just let me know. So essentially, I'm not entirely sure I'm actually gonna like this film, but it does seem to have important themes in it, and I'm just gonna put the trigger warnings down here from my research, because yeah, we're just gonna come at this from like a what's the message of the film point of view. So this film is from 2009, so it's quite old as well, and I'm interested to see if there's anything in this film that might have been tackled a little bit differently now if it was made in 2024, or if it's like quite a good film when it tackles particular themes. But I'm not really sure I'm gonna like it, like I said before, but if you guys like it and I don't, it's just like a personal preference sort of thing. If you like it, then go ahead, not my problem. Like whatever movies you want. There are even people in my comment sections who have like the Twilight movies that I've watched, and I'm like, I hate Twilight. So you're entitled to your own opinion. Like movies if you want. Doesn't mean I'm necessarily gonna like them, doesn't mean other people are necessarily gonna like them. Just be respectful in the comment section about other people's opinions and just don't be rude to them, and we're all good with expressing our own opinions. Alright, so without any further ado, let's get into watching Jennifer's Body. A possessed cheerleader gains an appetite for her male classmates. It's also an hour 44 minutes, which is like so short compared to the other films I've been watching, which is great. I'm also writing an assignment at the same time for one of my literature classes, and it's on Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness, which I absolutely do not recommend. I don't have a thesis or arguments yet. It's due tomorrow when this goes out, and I don't recommend reading it at all because, you know, Joseph Conrad, he was a massive racist, says the N-word like every other page. And if someone tells you it's a great classic and great representation of the time period, maybe come at it from a historical point of view. So this is like just a great little thing to be watching at the same time as Jennifer's Body. Okay, so the introduction to the movie is actually pretty good. I'm not hating it. It's very, very early 2000s-esque. The vibe is so... I don't know how to describe it, but like I can tell it's from the early 2000s. What is this outfit that Jennifer is wearing? Oh my god, she's like an early 2000s teenager. What? Low-waist pants? God. I've got to say, I definitely don't like the boyfriend of, what is her name, Anita or something? Something like that. Chris Pratt? I didn't know Chris Pratt was in this movie. They feel gay, right? These two? They did mention that earlier. Are they a little gay? You know, at first I was thinking that maybe from my like 2024 perspective that Jennifer, and I think her name's Anita, like the main character that's at the beginning, that they might be like a tad bit, little bit gay, like they're alluding to that. But the more into the film I get, I realized that perhaps they're using the word like gay, lesbian, or whatever term they were using. I can't remember. I wasn't paying that much attention. They're maybe perhaps using it in actually quite an offensive way, and it's not because they're actually gay. So it's more like derogatory, which is not great. Jennifer, what are you doing? Like, everyone's grieving. What are you doing? Why are you such a psychopath? I'm kind of curious. I don't think we know what her mum's job is, so she's like not there. She has some sort of night shift thing for her job, I guess, because why is she never around for her? I don't. That's so. Where are these people's parents? Wait, so they're like, they are gay. I'm a little bit lost. I don't. This doesn't feel. It kind of feels homophobic. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't. I feel like it definitely would have been tackled differently now. Why are they whisper yelling at each other? It's not even a proper argument. They're just. It's so. This argument entirely has been so cringe thus far. It's feeling very a man wrote them, you know. What did I just watch? While I was watching that, I truly thought it was a man who had directed it and wrote the script, who just wanted to watch two women kiss. But it turns out the person who directed it was a woman. It was like Caitlin or Catherine or something like that, and there seemed to be a lot of women on that set. The movie started off so strong as well that I was genuinely intrigued. Like, what is the concept that we're looking at? What's going on? How did she end up in jail? What is the whole, what are we leading to here? But then it just kept going, and it just kept going and going, and there was an offensive thing here. They said the R slur that was like, whoa, okay, forgot we used to say that. Why did we used to say that? It's really, that's every time. There's a lot of early 2000s movies that would just use the R slur that really just like, whoa, I forgot that they said that. Every time that they implied that they were like gay in some way or referred to whatever, you know, them being queer in some way, it felt homophobic. And I don't know how to describe why I think it felt homophobic, but you know, if you're in the queer community, if you want to try and explain it, if you want to like refute my point of it feeling a little homophobic, it felt weird the way that they were written. I think the whole concept of the film was actually really interesting, but the thing is that it was kind of poorly done. You know, it had the unfortunate circumstance of being done and being filmed in the early 2000s, and it felt like it was maybe perhaps written by like a baby boomer or Gen X who was trying to understand the teenage lingo of millennials. They said so many millennial terms that I was like, this is a 2000s film. This feels, my god, the teenage lingo that was in this. Jennifer's character as a whole really felt like the male gaze, which is why I felt like it was directed by a man. And what was her name? They kept calling her Needy, but I think her name was Anita, like Needy for a nickname for Anita. And it was kind of implying that she was like a really needy character, and it was like haha, her nickname's Needy because she's needy and it sounds like Anita and that sort of thing. She felt like the geek male gaze. It felt like the male gaze of a geek as well. So I'm wondering why did a woman direct a film that was so entirely weird like that? It also felt like they had some Christian influences in here. And it might just be American culture, because American culture is kind of just inherently Christian, but it really felt like the whole demon thing and the way they were explaining the whole demon, like how Jennifer was possessed by a demon, it felt like it felt Christian. I don't really know how to describe it. Demons are kind of a Christian thing anyway, but I don't know, it just felt like the American culturally Christian written movie with a theme, like a theme. The whole fantasy part of it felt driven by Christian belief. I feel like now, if the film had been made now, it definitely would have been less Christian influence, Christian motivated. Maybe they would have used like a demon as a, you know, entity. It would have been a little bit more secular than Christian, just because it felt like something that just wouldn't happen in film today. The whole thing, it was so women fighting against women and not girl boss sort of thing, you know, not like a girl's girl sort of film. I feel like the internet kind of lied to me about what the themes were, because they definitely mentioned the fact that it was kind of like Jennifer getting revenge on people who had harmed her, and I'm like, what? you know, like it implied that she was like sexually assaulted, but like the film kind of said that and alluded to that until we heard what actually happened to Jennifer. I think the internet took it as a little bit too seriously, some of the themes, because they explained it like it was this most explicit movie ever. I think the most explicit thing, I think the reason it's labeled as MA15 plus, at least it is in Australia. I don't know if it's like stronger themes, you know, if the ratings are different in America or any other countries. But I think it's because of the blood and gore. It's definitely really, there's a lot of blood and gore. Like I would say it's like Deadpool, Cocaine Bear level film that has just so much explicit death. I can definitely see this movie having been made now, but there would have been less girl on girl crime, you know, like there would have been a lot less girls fighting like a cat fight. Like if the, oh my god, every time Jennifer and Anita argued, or when Anita was killing Jennifer, it felt like just a cat fight. You know how men are like cat fight, you know what yeah, that stereotype, it felt like that. And that's one of the reasons where I'm like, it was directed by a woman, are you sure? I think the whole fantastical paranormal element was the point that could have been developed a lot further. They should have put a lot more effort into developing the paranormal side rather than the relationship side, which I think is very like 2000 early 2000s-esque, and because of the whole Twilight era as well. It had the sort of influences of not like developing the relationships and the millennial lingo and that sort of, those sort of themes, rather than the actual concept of explaining and world building properly. It's also supposed to be a horror film, and I don't know if it's because I have like a 2024 perspective on the film, but I didn't find it very, like the horror themes weren't layered on thick. Like I didn't feel like it could warrant a horror genre theme being slapped on the title. It felt like maybe it did say like it's a horror comedy, but it really felt more like the comedy part. I was leaning towards laughing at it, which also maybe that's why it was so insane, because it was supposed to be funny, but it didn't land. The jokes weren't, in hindsight, very offensive. A lot of the jokes would be very different if it was made now, but the horror vibe just wasn't there for me. In my opinion, it didn't fit as a horror film. If anything, I would explain it as more of a psychological thriller and comedy in a way. I think the horror vibes weren't like psychological thriller. The horror part wasn't very good. I'm sorry, it wasn't scary enough for me. So overall, the film was maybe like let's give it a score out of 10. It was maybe like a 6, where Twilight would be like a solid 3 out of 10. So 6 out of 10. It was alright, but would I watch it again? Definitely not. The acting was also pretty decent. I just think it was the director who really made the film bad. So next week's film club, we are going to be watching the last film that the Divergent series made, which is Allegiant. Unfortunately, not all the books were adapted, so this, like I said, will be the last Divergent film that we watch. But if you want to vote for future film club movies that you want me to watch and you want everyone else to watch and discuss in the comments down below, you are able to go to my community tab. If you go into like my channel, and there's like home, videos, playlists, whatever, and then there's a community tab. I post a poll on there through the week, and then at the end of the week, once you vote on the poll, I will announce in the film club video over the weekend what the next film club movie will be. Hopefully that makes enough sense, but basically just go over to my community tab, tap on the movie that you want me to watch, and then I'll discuss which one won at the end of the week. You can also go over to my Discord if you want to help me shortlist what I'm going to be putting on the poll on my community tab. The Discord is down below. The link to my Discord is in the description if you want to join, and you can basically discuss and help me pick out which movies I'm going to be watching in the future. Anyways guys, that is it for today's video. If you liked, please like and subscribe and comment down below everything that you thought of Jennifer's body. If you've watched the film, if you've watched it previously, who was your favorite character? Did you also feel like Jennifer's body was written by a man? Because I definitely did. Once again, I hope you enjoyed this video, but I've been CJ, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.